Hello everyone. Hi. Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for joining today's live. Hi Karishma. Hi Karishma. Hi Bhuvna. Hi Satish. Hi everyone who's joining. Thank you so much for joining today's live. Today it's something fun, it's something personal, it's something about studying abroad. It's me sharing my story about how I moved abroad and what I like about studying abroad, all of those things. Can you hear me fine? If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. Neeraj said there's no sound. So if you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. I hope the sound's good, because if it wasn't, then everyone would be saying that. So I'm just hoping it's working all fine. So today I want to talk about, okay, so everyone's saying thumbs up. Great. So today I want to share my journey. So if you don't know me, I'm actually from Mumbai, India, and I moved to Dublin for college 2 years ago. So I know that this was a big question for a lot of you. I get a lot of messages. In fact, I think just 20 minutes before this live, I had someone who asked about the laws of moving abroad, like jobs in college and things like that. And I just thought I would do this live because it's so many people have asked this question, and this was also a recommendation by at least 5 people in the story questionnaire that I put out. So for everyone who asked and everyone who did ask, here's a live about moving abroad. So I want to talk mainly about the situation before, like where was I and why did I decide to move abroad for studies, how did I pick my college, things like that, and then my experiences when I actually moved here, when I moved to Dublin, and what I have what I've experienced since that time. And then after that, I'll have a short Q&A where you can ask your questions about study abroad. Try to keep them more individual oriented rather than laws and things like that, because laws keep changing, the visa regulations keep changing, and I'm not a good source of information, especially not for many countries. So let's maybe keep it more for like personal questions, individualistic questions. But yeah, for now, let me just share how I started out and how I ended up in Dublin. So, once again, thank you for joining, everyone who's joined, and I hope you, find something useful from this. So I had a dream to become a doctor. This was like a long, far-fetched, this long time dream that I wanted to become a doctor, and I was studying science, and in like 11th and 12th, basically high school, you could say, I was studying science, and I decided that that was not for me. I decided that I wanted to do something else and something that I was truly passionate about. And writing was something I was doing for a very long time, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided to go in for it. And this was a very spur of the moment decision. So I had not planned on doing English. I had not planned on doing writing or any sort of art. It was a complete switch from science to English. So there were a lot of things that my family and I had not accounted for, mainly that we had not planned for it at all because we hadn't thought it would happen. So I think the main thing there was kind of the rush into getting things done, because my decision was very last minute. I really wanted to make that switch right after my 12th standard, and everything was different. And the first thing I did when I decided to make the switch was look into countries that I was interested in, and accordingly look into exams that were required. And I noticed that there were 2 exams which were like common for almost every country. So there was a SAT, that's the SAT, and then there was the IELTS, so that is the IELTS. So there was these 2 exams that seemed to work for almost every country. So I decided that I will give those and then we'll see what happens. So I gave my SAT in May, and I think I gave my IELTS somewhere in August or September. And I knew that I had missed the fall, the fall entry for most colleges abroad. So what I did was, I took more time. I spent, I think, almost 3 or 4 months just shortlisting colleges, shortlisting countries, deciding where I wanted to go. So I had a few criterias for the shortlisting. Again, remember that I was completely new to this. Even the decision to move abroad was completely new until like maybe until that day it was like, okay, I'm going to, probably be in India, I'm probably going to do my medicine somewhere in India. But then it was a complete switch, and my family and I, we were all very new to this whole concept of moving abroad or looking for colleges abroad. So it was a lot of trial and error, and eventually I went into looking for colleges based on my interest in English. So I looked for colleges which were good in English, which were some of the top premium colleges for English. I looked for suitable countries under that. So I didn't want to go to certain countries mainly because of the weather. One of the main reasons was the weather. Like, I dropped Canada because I wasn't very comfortable with the intense cold and the intense summer, so I wasn't comfortable with that. And some of the top, I would say, countries on my list were like UK, US, and Singapore. So these were the 3 top places that I was looking into. Then accordingly, like, I looked into colleges, and then I sorted that out, and I shortlisted. I looked at their requirements and eligibility criteria, things like that, gave all the required exams, submitted forms, filled in lots of forms, all of those things. So Ireland was basically nowhere on the map, as you may have noticed. Like, I said UK, US, and Singapore. So Ireland was nowhere on the map. But then just in the end, so it was, I think, December of 2017. And at that time, there was an Ireland education fair in Mumbai. And it was basically just an education fair. So all these colleges come, and their representatives basically are there, and they talk about their college, they introduce you, they answer the questions, all of those kind of things. And I just went because I just heard of it, and I had received an email. So I just went, and there I found out Trinity, and there, this representative was talking really well about the university. It has some of first of all, it's one of the oldest universities. It's over like 500 years old. It has a lot of rich history and culture, and a lot of stories weaved into how it came to be and what it is right now. It had a huge library. So it has, like, Trinity has one of it has basically this book of Kells, and has this long library on campus, which is amazing. It's very a dreamy place to be in, and that was also one of the beauties of Trinity. And of course, these were some extra things, but then it was also one of the top 50 colleges for English literature, for philosophy. It had a lot of options which I was interested in. It had a lot of scope of working afterwards, after you get your degree. It was very welcoming country. It's a small country. It's very receptive for everyone from anywhere, and all of those things really became factors. And I just kind of decided, and I went all in, and I kind of just applied for the college. This was thanks to my mom. Just my mom said, you should give it a shot, although it seemed out of my league, I would say. But I gave it a shot, and things worked out, and I got selected by Trinity. And I think, like, I had applied to 11 universities in total, and I got selected by all of them. But my main thing was, if I get into Trinity, then there's no question. So I got in there, and that was it. And I made my decision. And after that, I was interning for a few months, and I got the confirmation, I think, in February of 2018. And I was supposed to start college in September 2018. So 2 years ago, approximately this time. And I moved here. I remember, the chaos that comes with moving. I didn't really have that. So many of my friends had moved like the previous year before me, because I had a gap year, but many of my friends moved 1 year before me, and I remember everyone talking about how amazing the experiences are, but they miss home, all of those kind of things. I don't think I went through that. I kind of cried on the last day, like at the airport. It was very emotional, but still, in general, I thought it would be very overwhelming to move and live alone. It would be too much to take. But you know what, once I moved to Dublin, I think everything was just completely different, because everything was brand new, right from where I was living, to the college, to the people, to the country, to the weather. Every single thing was brand new, and I honestly just was so involved into everything that thinking about home, or thinking about missing home, all those things kind of became somewhere in the back of my head, like they were kind of disappearing. So one of the first, like the first day that I landed in Dublin, I remember that it was, I think, around 14-15 degrees, which is pretty cold as compared to, me spending all of my life in Mumbai. So that was pretty cold. But I remember I didn't have like a proper jacket or anything. I was just wearing a sweater, and I was walking around Dublin. As soon as I put my stuff in the room, I was just walking around campus and everything. And it was so okay. Like I'm the kind of person who wears a jacket to a mall in India. I'm that person. But it was completely fine. It was completely natural. And it's just something happens when you move abroad. There's this instant sense of independence, I could say. There's just something, that just kind of fits in, and you kind of become a part of it. Especially if you want to be there, you just instantly become a part of it without actually having to try. I think, and I was sharing a room with someone when I moved in. So I had a twin room, is what they call it here. I was sharing a room with someone, and this my roommate was from Belgium, so that was very interesting. So she had a completely different culture, and she had a completely different outlook, and we were studying the same thing. We were both studying English, but just being in the room with her, and really talking to her, or just understanding that everyone has different kind of ways and different kind of sensibilities and different kind of ideas of where they want to be, that was definitely a useful and I would say like unique conversation. And living with someone for a year is completely different when they are not from where you are. So a lot of communication was different, a lot of the food we ate. So I cooked her a lot of Indian meals, and she cooked me a lot of salads and things like that. So we kind of got along well. So that was also something different. And one of the main things of moving abroad was being responsible for every single thing. So I remember, like, once college started, it became very challenging because I would have to wake up myself, which was a pain. Normally, at home, my parents would either take the bed sheet away, like, the blanket away, or like pull me off the bed. That's how I used to wake up when I was younger. But, setting your own alarm, waking up on time, having breakfast, getting ready, walking to the bus stop, even though it's raining, it's cold or whatever, waiting for the bus for 15, 20, 30 minutes in the cold, getting on the bus, making it to college, rushing through lectures, spending like 6, 8, 10 hours a day in college. And the campus is huge. So it's not just, sitting in a class. It is me walking back and forth at least 3 kilometers within the campus every single day. Like that's literally that's what it was like. Every single day within campus itself, I would end up walking like 2-3 kilometers, and then again standing in the cold, waiting for the bus, doing the whole thing again, coming back and realizing, wait, there is no food to eat. I mean, I have spent the whole day in college, the whole day in cold, the whole day wearing like 5-6 layers of clothes, and it's just very frustrating. And then you come home and then there's nothing to eat. It was very challenging for the first few days, for the first few weeks, but eventually I got the hang of it. I started meal prepping in advance, so cooking for like 2 or 3 days together, putting them in boxes, carrying my lunch to college, carrying something extra because I never know how my day can go. All of those things, it kind of just fit in there. And within the first month of moving to college is also when LinkedIn happened to me. So I was very involved in that. I was getting some freelancing clients here and there. That took up more time, that took up more investment, mentally, physically, all of those things. It took up more energy. Those were a lot of things that had to be planned for, that I wouldn't have been able to do, and I wouldn't have realized if I hadn't moved abroad, and if I hadn't really been in this independent position myself. And once I started figuring out college, so we have a lot of societies in college. So I was a part of, like, in the freshers week, I joined at least 15 societies, like, for badminton, for the test society that I was a big part of, the entrepreneurial society, the TEDx one, there were a lot of like history ones, philosophy ones, a lot of societies that I had become a part of. So every single week I would get so many emails about all the events they're having, and I was interested in a lot of them, so I attended as many events as I could. Over the months it kind of became more niche. Over the months I decided that okay, this is one society I like and everything, so I went in for those specific niches. And I kind of just went for those events and really went hard on engaging and being involved over there. And that was really helpful, because I think over the time that is what has led me here, in terms of especially being a part of the entrepreneur society. It led me to my startup, it led me to winning funding for my startup, becoming more involved in the business side of things, in the entrepreneurial side of things. And again, getting a lot of mentors, getting a lot of advice from people who have already done everything that I wanted to do. It was a huge help, and it really made the whole college experience worthwhile. So that was definitely something that I enjoyed doing. So I had a lot going on, like it was overwhelming at times, but it was also something that I felt kind of happy doing, because I felt more independent and all of those things. And basically I would say, like, everything that happened in college, or everything that has to do with me moving abroad and college and all of those things, it really changed many things about me, like as a person, mainly because living alone means you are alone, like you have to do everything yourself. Like for me, it was, things were just kind of piling on. So when I moved here, I thought it would be okay, cooking, cleaning, and college, fine. But then came in freelancing, then came in all the events, then came in all the meetings and client calls, then came in all everything else I wanted to do. So I wanted to do my own, like startup things, or come up with my own whatever it may be, or start working out, things like that. And everything just kind of became a big package, and that was really important, because it really helped me balance everything out. And if I hadn't had this experience at this point in my life, or at this age, I would say it would have been a completely different and completely, like more challenging to be independent, to be like independent in thought, or to be independent financially, or to be independent emotionally, when I was older. So moving abroad or living alone has definitely changed all of those things. It's made everything much easier long term when I think of it, and it's something that I am very proud of. I'm very proud that I made that decision, or that my family made that decision and like supported me in that, because I think I owe a lot of things, including this communication, this conversation we're having, to the fact that I moved abroad and I decided that okay, I need to be in control here, and I want to do things by myself. So that was definitely a spin. I think the most important, like the biggest thing that was a difference for me, like cooking is fine, I enjoy cooking, I just had to set a routine. Cleaning is fine because I do it like once a week or something, laundry and all, completely like I get used to it. But the most important thing was taking care of finances. So I've had a lot of ridiculous situations where I have paid money and I've forgotten how much I've paid, or I've paid more because I didn't think of those cents or something, and then I have to rush back to get the change. I have done that a few times. I have lost track of where I have kept the money, and this was all very frustrating because this was not something I was supposed to do. I thought, like always for life, my parents have had their notebook, have had their documents, whatever. It's never been me. So the finance part was definitely very challenging, because I would never know how much money I have left. I would never know where the money is going. There was no budgeting. There was no saving. There was, there was a little bit of income during the start. When I started freelancing, it wasn't significant, but it was something. But then again, I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know how to add to it, things like that. So budgeting and taking care of finances was something again that I learned thanks to this experience of living alone. And yeah, I mean, it would have been very challenging if I was not alone, because it's easy, like it's good, like your parents teach you and everything, like even at home, like my parents taught me what taxes are and what this is and what that is and how you're supposed to do this and that, and that's fine. But as long as I wasn't doing it myself, I don't think I really paid attention ever. So doing it myself really changed things, and doing it myself really made it more real. So that was definitely a life-changing experience, to be more be more human, be more adult. Some people call it adulting. So yeah, that is kind of what it is. And yeah, I'm very happy with the decision. It made me who I am, and it brought me here talking to all of you. So yeah, so that's how I kind of moved abroad, and I had these challenging days where I didn't have anything to eat just because I didn't prepare for it. I have had days where I have been very upset, been very sick. Oh, being sick was a very completely different game in itself, because being sick, you cannot even, if you're sick, you don't have anyone to pamper you. You don't have anyone to get you food, or to get you water, or to like help you even get you medicines. Nothing. So you have to be very careful about all those things. I think it kind of also made, anytime I felt sick, it kind of made it more bearable. I used to just think, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I had a cold or something, it's fine. I have a fever, it's fine. I can still get up and do stuff, because I don't want to get into that zone where I'm just lying in bed, because then it's just going to get more difficult. So yeah, so being sick was a entirely different game. I think if you are alone and if you've fallen sick, please enjoy the moment, because it's going to keep happening. It's very unpredictable. You're going to keep falling sick, and just kind of live with it. Live with it. And that's the moment, honestly, whenever like I call my parents and I'm like, no, I'm not feeling well, and initially they used to kind of laugh, because they'd be like, now you take care of yourself, right? It used to be that way, because they realize that this is it. This is where we draw the line, and this is where you take care of yourself. So yeah, so that was very interesting. So yeah, falling sick, managing money, wearing a lot of layers all the time, cooking, all of these things kind of made this whole thing very good. It made the experience worthwhile. So that's my freelancing, why am I saying freelancing? Sorry, I just read that word somewhere. So that's my study abroad journey, and that's how I moved to Dublin and I study at Trinity, and that's how I feel everything about moving abroad. So now, if you have any questions about moving abroad, I will answer those for 10 minutes, and yeah, let's see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, it's all been very interesting. It's been very interesting. Which country you are in now? Gokul, I'm in Ireland, in Dublin. I mean, in Dublin, in Ireland. Okay. How do you speak English so nicely? Thank you. Practice, honestly. Anto Saju said that she's an English graduate, dude. It doesn't matter. It's not, my degree has nothing to do with my English speaking, honestly. It has zero relevance. Gokul said, did you do your master's as soon as you did your undergrad? I'm doing my undergrad right now. Dibs Modern Stuff wants to know more about content writing. Well, today is all about studying abroad. See, for speaking English, honestly, especially if you're moving abroad, I know that English can be very challenging. In fact, just yesterday I spoke to someone who moved in here new in this accommodation, and this person was talking about, just being a little skeptical about talking because he didn't really have good English. But I've seen people in the past 1 or 2 years who have been from other countries and who've come here, are in my course, things like that. They have really drastically improved with time. I think more you converse with people and the more you keep listening to something being said in English, the more it instills in your brain, and it really helps you out. So if you really want to improve your English, I definitely recommend listening to it more, either in terms of songs or movies or podcasts. Just listen to more English and speak more English. Speak more English to everyone, even your family, and that'll kind of get you in the rhythm to, speak in English. Okay. Naman Trivedi is loving this live. Thank you. Hey, did you give any exam to join an institution there? Muskan. Yes, Muskan, I gave the SAT and the IELTS. Those are both, they're called something. I don't remember. They're like English proficiency test, I think. So those are some things that I gave. It depends on colleges. My college didn't have like an entrance exam or something. It had a very detailed application form, SOP requirements, all of those things. It didn't have an exam. But depending on the subject, you may have an exam, yes. Okay. Did you ever feel that you were in financial crisis? Yes. Then how did you manage? Raj Kumawat. So my parents are funding my education. So that was the whole plan when I moved here. It was my parents. So I didn't feel like I was in a financial crisis. My only aim was, see, the tuition and the rent are fixed. But the personal expenses, the day-to-day, the groceries, the travel, all of those things were up to me. So my aim was to manage that much amount. It has changed with time based on, how I've started freelancing and how I've started earning. But my main aim is to just kind of, whatever finances I'm in control of, I manage that. And I don't think I was in a crisis so far. But if you're doing masters, then you should definitely consider that. If you are financially dependent on yourself, then you should definitely think about all of those things. Another thing here is actually when you apply for a visa, you have to show that you have enough money to survive for a year, plus pay your fees, plus pay your rent, all of that. So you have to show that you have that before you move abroad. So I guess that would also kind of help you out over there. What was the fee of Trinity College expensive? See, expensive is a very subjective term. Depends on what expensive is for you. So you can kind of, you can look into whatever college you want to, and you can check out the fees there. How many source of income you have? I don't know. Karishma is asking, how much did you score in IELTS? I got an 8 out of 9, which I think was pretty good. Could you tell us more about scholarships if you applied for it? Yeah, so my particular university, Trinity, did not have any scholarships, like not an entry scholarship, so I didn't have that option. But there were many other colleges that had a scholarship based on either your grades or your accomplishments, your SOP, things like that. So I'd received a scholarship of around 8,000 euros from UCD, which is also in Dublin. So I'd received it from that, but I didn't want to go to that university. So I skipped that and I went in for Trinity instead. So you can check out what scholarship plans and schemes and, options your college has, and then you can apply for that. Ever felt insecure in foreign land? Anmol is asking. A bit. I think when I moved here, I was very skeptical because I had Irish culture is very different. It's very social, and I would say I'm not really into that. So I was a bit skeptical about the whole situation. But this was a really good thing here. I've noticed that people don't force it onto you. If you do not want to, go to parties, or if you do not want to be in groups of people are completely fine with it. So I'm the kind of person who will probably I'll hang out with people in classes, like in between classes, things like that. But I'm not somebody who would stay after college to, go out or something. And people are completely fine with it. I mean, they still, still ask me every single time, do you want to come? And if I say no, they're completely fine with it. So I really like that about Ireland. Very social country, but, very accepting of whatever your personal boundaries are. So that was very helpful for me. Sargi is saying, Shreya, for kicks, can you do an Irish accent? I don't think I can do an Irish accent. There was this one point when I moved here for the first time, I got this weird accent. I don't know what it was. It wasn't Irish, but you can check one of my first IGTV videos. I have that very, I don't know what accent that is, but I have that accent, so you can check that out. It's funny when I look back at it. Samiksha is saying, do you think Indian colleges lack opportunities for literature students? Um, this is a very good question, Samiksha, because I know this is something that people ask a lot, like why did you decide to move abroad for this? And why didn't you just pick a college in India? For me, it was a personal choice. I saw more opportunities, frankly. Yes, I did see more opportunities. I saw more, the course itself. I looked at a lot of courses. I looked at what was being taught in each course. So I didn't, when I was looking for colleges, I looked at, okay, they have an English course, but what are they teaching in that? And I found that the literature scope abroad was much more interesting and much more of something that I wanted to do, and so I went in for it. I don't know if Indian colleges lack opportunity because I'm not in an Indian college, but I can tell you that Trinity, or yeah, I can speak of Trinity. So Trinity does have a lot of opportunities in terms of whatever field you're in. So I think that's something that's really useful, and that's something that really allows you to be like an interdisciplinary disciplinary student. So I'm doing English, but I'm also a part of like a lot of business events and startups and pitches and things like that. So I can just chase my interests. So that's something I really like about being here. Sakshi is asking, how about talking about SOP writing? Well, if you want me to talk about it, you can ask me a question about it, Sakshi. But SOP, like I would say, spend a lot of time on writing your SOP and make it very personal. Make it like a story, narrate your life in it instead of just saying, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this, nobody cares. Make it like a story, like take the person who is whoever's reading your SOP should kind of get a sneak peek into your life and why you chose to do this course. Very important. How did that passion for this particular course come in? Use that, and I think that will help. What do you think future MBA? I don't know, maybe I might, I don't know. Naman, what are your future plans in terms of your career, Shreya? I'm not sure really, Naman, because I'm just taking things as they come, and for now I'm like really enjoying freelancing, so I'll see how that turns out. Achi Larki is asking, okay, the future of MBA. What do you think of the future of MBA? I am not the right person to tell you that. No. Karishma is asking, what about part-time job? Can we easily get in Dublin? There are opportunities. Yes, part-time is available. Can you easily get it? I don't know. But there are part-time jobs available that you can probably work for, I think, 20 hours a week during term time. What do you do whenever you feel lonely living abroad? What I do is I call my family, call my friends. I just talk to them for hours, or I binge watch something. It's been that feeling is actually there for the past few days because it's been so long. It's been over a year since I've been home, so that feeling just keeps coming and going, and I just kind of just turn on Netflix and I just watch Netflix or something, or I cry. I just cry. Seriously, I mean, I cry. Yeah. Would you have studied in India itself if you hadn't known about Trinity or the choice of going abroad? Any factors that made you choose studying abroad over studying in India? Bhuvna. Bhuvna, my main reason was that, see, if I were doing medicine, I would have done it in India. I think that was a short thing because I know the medicine courses in India are amazing. They are really worth it. They're really, they're one of the best courses in the world. So if I were doing medicine, it would have been India. But the reason I chose to move abroad for literature is because I saw more scope there. I saw more opportunities there, and I saw more acceptance there for the kind of course I wanted to do. That was my main reason for moving abroad. And if I didn't know about Trinity, then I would have moved to some other country. That like I had more opportunities because, as I said, I applied for more colleges. So if not Trinity, then I would have moved to something else. What is the initial cost to move abroad for education on average in INR? Rajkumar. Okay, so Raj, it depends a lot on the country you're going to. So if you look at, I'll just give you an approximation. If you look at Ireland, it's probably around 30 lakhs per year, considering tuition and rent. Again, completely depends on your course. It could be a lot more for MBA. It could be a lot more depending on which city you're going to. So Dublin is one of the most expensive cities in Ireland. It is one of the most expensive cities in the world. So it is on the pricier side. But if you were moving to like say Cork in Ireland, it may be a little bit cheaper because it's not the main city. And I know in the US, a lot of tuition itself just starts from like 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs per year. And then you have other, additional expenses. So completely depends on the country. Will I share this on IGTV? Yes. SOP means statement of purpose. It's basically an essay where you kind of tell why you deserve to get a place in the college. What's your startup name? My startup name is Doozy. I got funding based on a competition in college. I'm still working on it. Karishma is asking, is SAT exam compulsory for literature? It's compulsory for anything. It depends on the country. So if you want to apply for the US, I think SAT is the requirement. It's a test. It's a proficiency test. It has nothing to do with the course you're going. It's like an eligibility criteria. So you can check those out based on the country. There are 40 plus people here. Make some noise in the... What is the situation of content writing in the next 10 years? That's not what I'm answering. Okay, let's see. What else is there? Are you thinking of citizenship in Ireland or any other country? That's a long shot. I'm not sure. Can freelancing be considered full-time? Yes, it can. Of course, why not? What's your course? I'm studying English and philosophy. Yeah, that's my course. I'm also like for this year, I've also taken up a part-time course for entrepreneurship and innovation. So I'm really excited for that because I am really, really keen on that part of it. Okay, so KBR Seth is asking, are you pursuing a UG there? Yes, that's what I'm doing. Would you suggest any book for reading in lockdown, vocabulary rich? Pick up any classic book, like just Google whatever genre you like and type classic book for horror classics or something, and pick that up. They all have really good vocabulary. Devang is saying, what is the situation of content writing in next 10 years? That's not what this live is about. Karishma is saying, is your course? My course is a 4-year course. So Ireland follows the same. No, wait. India has bachelor's of 3 years. So Ireland has 4 years of bachelor's here. And here master's is 1 year. So that I think that kind of makes it the same thing. Bhuvna is saying, thank you for answering, Shreya. We'll keep that in mind while making my final decision for college. You're very welcome. Yeah, that is one thing. There's an article, like there's a full, deep, insightful article about moving abroad. It's on my website. It's on my LinkedIn. You can check that out if you want some help. Himoni, did you ever feel intimidated by teachers and students belonging to different countries? In a sense, I didn't feel intimidated. I was concerned that I wouldn't understand the accent. Because honestly, Irish accent is very different. Irish accent is very heavy. It has a lot of rolling of the R's. It gets very challenging to understand. So I was very concerned about that. But then I came here and I realized that, first of all, the teachers themselves, so many of the professors themselves are international professors, you could say. Like I'm an international student, they're international professors. So they are not just from Ireland. They're from so many places across the world. So that was the most important, consideration, and that kind of fit well. So that worked out. Freelancing abroad is much better than India. Your opinion? I think freelancing abroad gives you more of a push because you have more finances to take care of. It's more expensive to live here. It's more challenging to live here. So in that financial sense, it does give you a bit more of a push. Okay, Karishma. Okay, this is the last question I'll take. I did not realize the time. 1 second. Okay. What are the requirements for doing English philosophy literature? Completely depends on every single college. For me, it was the grades, the SOP, and I think there was an interview or something. Those things mattered. It depends on the college. Every college has their own requirements, so please check it out, and that should work out fine for you. Yeah. Yes, so that's all, everyone. That's all for today. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to my freelancing story. Why am I saying freelancing? Oh god. Thanks for listening to my study abroad story. I hope you all enjoyed listening to it. I hope it helped you out. Anyone who's planning to study abroad, I hope this helped you out a little bit more. Other than that, you can also check out the article on my website or on my LinkedIn. There's a long article for this. And yes, that's all for today. So bye, everyone. If there's any more questions, please just text me or DM me or whatever, DM, comment, whatever you like. And everyone who's saying thank you, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for staying for the live, and I will be back soon. So yeah, Saturday. I'll see you on Saturday. So thank you so much for joining, and take care, and bye bye.